My, oh my, what a mess. Was the U.S. officially a banana republic, or just bananas, or both? That was 5 years or 5,000 years ago. Let's go straight to that week's podcast. This is I Am Right, and welcome back to another edition of the Destino Dispatch podcast, your 2 minutes or so of what's happening on our big ball. Okay, let's just throw ourselves in the deep end, shall we? So the fat lady ain't singing because she's drowning. And at this point, it is anybody's guess when the U.S. presidential election will be decided. President Donald John Trump is making claims of voting fraud, such as this tweet by the president. They are finding Biden votes all over the place in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. So bad for our country. Legal actions, they're being pursued in key states, and more than 300 lawsuits have already been filed over alleged breaches of electoral law, with more expected over accusations of postal voting irregularities and changes to voting rules due to the pandemic, due to the Wu flu. So was there fraud in the 2020 presidential election? Well, do yourself a Google search of voter fraud and you will mostly find that it is a myth, such as Time.com's How Republicans Are Selling the Myth of Rampant Voter Fraud. Of course there is fraud in elections, and of course it is rampant. As an example, we have a great word of the day, gerrymandering. Getting out your crayons, and redrawing districts. Voter fraud is like police brutality before video. Minority communities, poor communities. They had long complained of police brutality, but it was not rampant. It was a myth, right? Well, at least it was until George Holliday took footage with his Sony Handycam back in 1991 of 4 white Los Angeles police officers brutally beating Rodney King. And that was just the start, wasn't it? You know, there are thousands of videos of police brutality. It is not a myth, and it is rampant. The police kill around 1,000 people a year in the U.S. And what is interesting is that from 2005 to 2014, 10 years, 10,000 people killed by police, only 48 officers were charged with murder or manslaughter for use of lethal force. But back to voter fraud. Has everybody forgotten what happened in North Carolina in 2018 with mail-in ballots? Leslie McCrae Dowless, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, described as a Republican political operative. Mr. Dallas, he was working for Mark Harris, the Republican nominee in the 9th Congressional District race. And basically, Mr. Dallas paid a team to go door to door and collect unfinished absentee ballots, and then they would fill in votes on the ballots for Republican candidates in the election, such as Mr. Harris. Supposedly, gleaning what I could from the articles I read about Mr. Dallas, he received a tidy 6 figures for his work, and that was for a piddly congressional seat. How much is the presidency of the U.S. worth? How many hundreds of billions? Trillions? You know, I've got great trust in people behaving themselves, doing the right thing, except when money and power are involved. And the U.S. presidency has lots of both, and both parties are guilty of fraud. Let's just be honest. And fraud is so rampant. Take Kayleigh McEnany. I don't even care if I'm mispronouncing her name. She's the White House press secretary. So she has retweeted countless times the video of Joe Biden saying, "We have put together the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics." But it is taken out of context. Mr. Biden is talking about fraud prevention. And she must know that, Miss McEnany, because, she has a JD from Harvard. She can't be a total idiot. She is an idiot, or as we'd say in Destino, she's a dick. We can be progressive sometimes. Trump should fire her immediately or just go quietly to his tower. Baby Blake must be ashamed. All right, the thought of the week. If you really want to screw with somebody, ask them to tell you what money is, to explain money to you. How is it created? And if the Fed is printing trillions, why isn't there much inflation? Ponder that. All right, be strong, Destino. Get out there and, well, I hope you voted. And don't coof. Take care, and until next time, maybe we'll know who the president is by then. Bye-bye. You bots know what happened.